Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Doug. You know who I am.
You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Today we're going to be listening to Bandana by Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. I'm really excited to be listening to this. You know, it's taken me a while to actually put this video up for you guys, and I do apologize, but you can't be too mad at me because I did drop 5 videos yesterday, you know, so it's not like I'm just not putting anything out. But we're finally getting to it. You know, I've got 15 tracks. These two are great together. I absolutely love Madlib and his production. He's always a blast to try and dissect and to listen to the samples and to listen to the drum patterns and all of that. He's just a genius. You know, top tier producer, one of the GOATs. And Freddie Gibbs, you know, I'm just expecting really hard lyricism. I'm expecting him to rap about the thug life and cocaine and drug dealing and all this. You know, and also to bring some of his personal experiences into the lyricism, some wisdom, of course, into the lyricism. I'm just expecting greatness. You know, Pinata was fantastic. If you haven't seen my reaction on that, you can do so. And I'm really just ready to dive into this, you know? So I'm not going to waste too much of your time with this introduction. Let's just get it.
Obrigado. Now presenting my niggas, let's go. Bitch. Madlib. Obrigado.
Yeah, this is it.
I want it all, nigga, all lane Sylvester.
Yo.
Crack cocaine, I was my own investor. Could I do this shit independent, losing shit when moving?
Those horns are everything, bro.
Moving things. I was living records, and these rap niggas said the same hoes. Got a curve, bitches got a cut, bitches got a change on. And I was barely even moving things.
Yeah.
Said I was moving with them shoes.
This is too smooth, bro.
Every nigga, I got it tatted. Virginia. By the time niggas show me.
Oh, the little keys? Alright.
By the time niggas show me love, I was.
Love the vocals in the background.
Yeah.
Alright, so that was the first 2 tracks, Obrigado and Freestyle Shit. So the first track was basically just like a little 30-second vocal introduction, talking about heading into the second track and all that. It was just a little intro, you know, nothing too big, nothing too major. The second track is absolutely ridiculous. You know, the sample is absolutely awesome. I love the horns, I love the keys, I love the soul, I love the vocals on the sample. You know, it's just a really cool record. The drums are basically the drums in the sample. You know, there's no drums laid over the sampling. It doesn't sound like... It's very simple. It's masterful sampling, but in terms of production, it's very simple. And Freddie Gibbs gives me exactly what I want. He talks about his lifestyle. He talks about dealing drugs. He talks about when the music wasn't really bringing in money, he had to move things. You know, just talking about selling drugs. It's absolutely great. You know, it's very old school thug life hip hop, and I love it. You know, and Freddie Gibbs' delivery, his vocals, I mean, all of it is just so smooth. It's so confident. It's so wavy. He's got such swagger to it. You know, it's great. It's a great track. And I think that is an awesome introduction to this project. It's ridiculously soulful. Next track is Half Man, Half Cocaine. Also, I heard Madlib produced everything on his iPad. Legend. Whoa! Got a little trap vibe now? Let's get it. Yeah. The pad that just came in is great. There's a little bell also that I love. Oh boy! Yo, those keys are so dark. Half man, half cocaine. You know, I've got goosebumps. Both parts to this track are ridiculously hard. I mean, they're both tough. You know, Freddie's swagger and his confidence is just on another level. The aggressiveness to his lyrics is absolutely fantastic. We do get 2 different vibes. The first part of the track is a awesome 2 Chainz like trap vibe, and the second half is a very old school boom bap bouncy hip hop beat with really great drums and very minimal instrumentals in the background. We do get some really dark, low-pitched keys, but I mean, they just set that really eerie, scary tone. You know, it's perfect for Freddie Gibbs. It really is. It is absolutely ridiculous, the stuff that he says on here. The lyricism, the wordplay, the flow, the metaphors. It's so refreshing to actually hear lyrical rap in an age or in a world where, you know, there's not too many artists out there who actually rap like this that are mainstream, that are well known by people. I absolutely love trap music, mumble rap. I mean, I love all of it, and the waviness and the vibes that those artists like Lil Uzi Vert, Playboi Carti, they create. But it's a whole nother style of music, right? I can love that and I can love this without having to put any of the two styles down. So I really like this track, man. It is absolutely filthy. Yo, these chord progressions are awesome.
Yeah, made it through my whole month with my lights out. I see bright today.
That struggle's tough. Oh, that's great.
Pays, nigga, crime pays. Chopping up this change, no cocaine in my microwave. Niggas, I put your body all off in the body slang. You ain't gon' hurt nobody, but body for body will be the body gang.
It's almost got a little bossa nova feel to it. So in this track, it's called Crime Pays, and he's talking about how crime pays. You know, he's talking about the consequences of living this lifestyle that he lives. Talks about being in the dark for a month because he couldn't pay his light bill. Talks about getting cars shot up and during drive-by shootings. Talks about people dying. Talks about, you know, HIV. Talks about a bunch of stuff that goes on in this as consequences of this lifestyle. So does crime pay? Yeah, he says he's got diamonds on his watch or on his chain, but he says that he's still a slave, and he talks about all these other negative consequences of living that lifestyle. And that's all done on this really smooth, jazzy / bossa nova type feeling beat. And it's just masterfully sampled as always with Madlib. It's got a really cool, smoother feel to it. It's not as hard or aggressive a track, but the lyricism is definitely real. You know, it's definitely tough to listen to because we know how real it is. And it's very honest. It's a very honest track. I like it. I like it. I enjoy it.
I don't wanna whip the mirror Simmons on my dog seat. 44 Bill taking calls on his money phone. Every Sunday morning I hear Maurice with the money grab. He was made.
I'm not sure how much I like this beat. It's not really resonating with me.
Bitches on Sunday morning, Keisha hit me with the money grab. Touchdown in the shine, make that pussy do the money dance.
You know, man, the production on this track just didn't really resonate with me that much. I didn't really like it that much. The lyricism is what I expect from Freddie Gibbs. I love the metaphors. I love the flows and how he manages to ease from one flow into the other and just like weave through all the different styles that he takes in his approach to this song seamlessly. You know, just you almost can't even tell that he switched up the flow because of how smooth he is in his delivery. You know, so he is absolutely great, but that beat just wasn't really it for me. Palmolive is next.
Cane season, fucking my bastard daughter in 2 G's pieces. Dropping this blow on the base of the flow, my yeast squeaking. Better than concrete and poopy with that vanilla smoothie. Scary, scary nigga, my neighborhood something like I'm never gonna wash a dish. It's the clean glass all Palmolive. These niggas don't know how hard you ride it. Maxine Waters.
Yo, this is it.
They coming for your money, nigga. Play low. I mean low. Like
Wind stars.
Yo.
Wind stars left cuts in the dinner place. It's new stash spots, the AC on the shit. A bitch told me 2-tone rollies was too blase. Yeah. Way more deep.
Pusha's killing it.
On the digital.
So what you mean? To hell, you'd have came Thursday instead of Friday, you'd have got me too.
That outro is crazy. One thing I like about this track is how slow it is. You know, I love how laid back, how relaxed it is. You know, it's just, it provides the opportunity for Push and for Freddie to just kick that really relaxed, confident, drug pusher rap. You know, it's got a really cool vibe to it. The soul for the sample is ridiculous. You know, the vocals and the little guitars in the background sound great. This is a cool track as well. I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but it's definitely going to be a standout track for sure off of this project. I really like that. Next track is Fake Names. I, for one, prefer when Madlib layers the drums to make them punch a little more like this. Instead of just using the samples, actually adding drums, you know? Sounds great.
Lifestyles that are insane. It was like a brother to me, no other than me. When I would trade my life for your brother.
Strings in the background are great. Yeah, this vibe is great.
We could have ran to town. They use fake names. Every time I speak their faces, they occupy my brain.
That bass is so smooth, bro. Yo, the switch up? Yeah, the horns. So in this track, we get two perspectives on the same subject, right? First half on that first beat is really dope. I love the drums to it. And Freddie is talking about how scarring it is, you know, and the lifestyle that he used to live in. Death, the insanity, you know, the murder, dead faces occupying his brain at night, and how, you know, how emotionally and physically scarring that lifestyle could be. But then when the beat switches up, he starts talking about it in a different perspective. He starts talking about kind of like bragging about the money, you know, and the girls, and the positives, I guess, of living that lifestyle, you know, buying a mansion and all that, and putting other people on. So, you know, he talks about two different perspectives and how scarring it is, but all the positive stuff that came from it, I guess. It's a really interesting track, you know, and he talks about how, since it's real, and it's real life, and it's actually his life and the way that he used to live, it says it's so real they've got to use fake names in order to keep these people that he's talking about safe, I guess, from any consequences of being mentioned in a track like this, talking about this type of subject matter, you know? It's great. It's really cool. I love the second half of the beat. It's really smooth. I love the little flutes. And like I said, the drums on the first half of the beat are really dope, really heavy, really aggressive. I like it. Next track is Flat Tummy Tea.
Yeah. Gold body, my jewelry, black money, me. I be young, but love to see you rest in peace. Smoking, popping, and drinking on the west, they got the best of me. I'm chopping it up on the table with no gold body.
Love the heavy guitars.
I be out in these bitches. Incarceration, my destination, I would wind up.
Man.
The medication just bought another line up. Overdose with a course, took the sword and knocked white Jesus off of that white horse.
Again, it's got two halves to it. It's got two different beats on here. Very aggressive. It's really annotated on Genius. You know, he talks a lot about the lyrics, so there's not much for me to interpret when he's talking about the lyricism right here. He says he mentions police brutality. You know, he's braggadocious on the track. He talks about doing some time. Talks about how when he wrote this, he was locked up and how he had the beats stuck in his head, which is a testament to how good Madlib's production is, because the beats were stuck in his head while he was in jail, and that's how he would write the lyrics. You know, there's a lot of stuff that probably went over my head on here. A lot of metaphors, a lot of imagery, a lot of symbolism. But he talks about some real life stuff on this. You know, it's Freddie Gibbs talking about what he normally does. You know, the drugs and the overdosing and how hard that lifestyle was. I like the really heavy guitars in the first half of the beat. You know, I think that the second half was alright. The first half was really dope though. I would have liked for the first half, that first beat, to have gone for the whole 2 minutes and 35 seconds, but you know, it is what it is. Still a great track, still very aggressive, again, still very hard hitting, in a very Freddie Gibbs and Madlib manner, you know? Next track is Situations. This is wavy. Put some respect on my name. This is my paper later in this game with up to 20%. So fuck a record dealer, nigga need a bigger percentage. I'm lying. Then you about to stretch this coke like the 7 did it. Yeah, they thuggin' trying to check a million windows tinted with the killer. So in this track, Freddie kind of highlights a couple situations that he's been in his life. A couple of really messed up situations that he's been in, that he's seen, that he's experienced. And he does so on a really smooth, wavy beat from Madlib. This beat stands out from the other beats because it's not as soulful, it's not as heavily sampled, you know, and the drums are different. The whole vibe to this beat is different. Madlib showing some versatility with this one, you know, and I really like it. I personally love the fact that Freddie Gibbs gets a little melodic, and the storytelling, the imagery on this is fantastic. You know, I could see every single situation that he's talking about happening right in front of me because of the way that he describes the situations. He's had a tough life, and he makes it really clear. You know, he doesn't hold back. He doesn't really withhold a whole lot of details from us. You know, he talks about seeing people bleed, seeing people get stabbed, seeing people get run over, him getting arrested. He talks about a lot of stuff. It's a really cool track. It's a sad track when you think about the fact that he's had to see all of this from a very young age, and how that shaped him. But it's, again, very honest, very sincere, and that's what I like about it. Next track is Giannis, taking a page out of Tabby's book, I See.
You know, I've always hold us have 9 pieces on my Nokia phone squad. Diamonds make haters stick up with my daughter, don't really spoil. Then I get right back to the pot, get just thinking that's body training.
Hey. You hear that? That's the best teeth in the game. And I don't mean Fantano.
For a truce came with snuff. Bodies hit the pavement, money came for months. I wasn't there with a nickel in my Thomas socks. Smoking blacks and getting 6 to Papa screaming Marty.
So this beat's really great. Apparently it samples a Bollywood song or a Bollywood movie or something like that. But man, I love the little bells and the little flute. You know, it's got a really cool bounce to it. I love this beat. I think Anderson .Paak was a really cool fit, a really cool feature to put on this track. You know, they're talking about facts that only people who have ever lived that type of lifestyle would know. They're kind of teaching us, they're kind of, again, giving us some details as to what it was like, you know, coming up. I love Anderson .Paak's verse. I love Freddie's delivery on this. It's a really cool song. This is definitely one of the harder hitting tracks. And again, very catchy because of that melody with the flute. Really cool.
Clear the day for. When I was going through problems at home, I should have prayed more. But I didn't. I just needed a duck off. Get a cougar bitch in the boonies, that pussy, I knocked the dust off. When all the trust lost, push it to the limit. Way faster, man. Chopping shit up like a sensei to get to Rende. My trunk got more blocks than the Kimbe. The DEA, they say like it ain't changed shit. Searching for licks up in the street, they come and go like Pokemon. Don't get no RESPECT from.
So on this one, he talks about a relationship, an affair that he's having, and the strain that puts on his relationship with his baby's mom. You know, the one that he calls his wifey, and he says that the drugs have him crazy, so he blames the whole fact that he's in that situation on the drugs. Then he talks about his relationship with the drugs, with the streets, with drug dealing, and the strain that puts on his other relationships and the people around him. You know, again, showing two sides, two different stories, talking about kind of the same subject matter in a really interesting way. Freddie Gibbs has been doing that a lot on this project, giving one verse about one side of a story and then another verse about the other side. You know, I think that's really cool on this. I love the beat, I love the soulful vibe to it. You know, the sample that he chose was really great. I feel like I'm saying the same things about almost every track, but all the tracks have been dope for the same reasons, you know?
Old school, Chevy thing, Cadillac, smoking on that good for my cataract. Fucking up in the sea with that about. When we hit that lick and top and crimson that Atlanta. Had to smoke that nigga that came along with you. Come knocking at the door of your home. We don't fit that. The Lord was in the room when my daughter took her first breath. Swinging like a Cataracts, I'm chilling in my old school. Chevy thing, Cadillac, smoking on that good. I have a problem with these niggas when they dress as skirts. When you pop up with an opinion and drag your name through the dirt.
This is a really cool track, man. I like the switch up towards the end. I think that both the beats are really dope. He talks about judgment, he talks about smoking, he talks about the women that he's around and the women that he's actually having sex with, talking about driving around in his Cadillac, smoking weed for his cataracts, eating fast food. I mean, it's just a really laid back, kind of feel good type of track, you know? He talks about things that people can relate to. It's great.
Yeah. Dance free my niggas, yeah. I just got the 100 cash and it in the air, yeah. I'm a little about $1 billion in the bank, I used to dream about. No heat up in the whip, they like goddamn, I'm calling lamp, money gram, I'm sending the bill.
Sensational vibe to this one. I love this. I love the strings in the beat. I love the really like jazzy kind of drum pattern that they chose for this. I love the little keys. I love the vibe that Freddie kind of rides with, you know, in his verses and his delivery. Gets a little melodic. Definitely a great track for you to throw on in the background and vibe out to. You know, this is going to be dope to zone out to and just listen to in the background. It's a really dope song, man. I like it. Next track is Education.
See the devil twitching, ears itching from the truth. Strange fruit, cyanide, soothie. Before I start a fire or a fight, a bowl for nonsense, I couldn't just chill.
Visitors keeping the consumption conspicuous. Kids graduating from public schools and prisoners. Encyclopedia definition of greediness, gluttony. Please take heed or who you treaty with.
Mo, got off the stove, it's low, my roll, I'm in the mines now. But I still serve your baked potato, one game banging in Little League. I may not be here, I'm feeling like I might just leave before I start a
Alright, talking a little bit about politics, black history, talking about black people struggling to grow and to rise in society because of the systems that society places to keep them down. Talk about oppression, talks about, you know, a bunch of stuff. Really great verses from Black Thought, Yazine Bey, and Freddie Gibbs. You know, really simple production, a really cool sample. It's got some nice keys to it, you know. It's dope. It's got a dope feel to it, you know, and it is called Education because they are teaching on this track and speaking facts to anybody who's willing to listen. Last track is Soul Right.
Yeah, rest in peace, Terrence Crutcher, motherfucker, Betty shit. I never was dead, but bitch found a hollow tip and trap with the rats, and I watch the cheese roll. Shaking all these nuts, so niggas off the roof, off the red. Fuck some niggas off, but I also necessitated the strap. Way back when the Harrows and Lincolns is all the. Yeah, and I've been struggling my whole life.
So in this last track, he talks about some of the things that he's done that are sinful or that are wrong, and you know, he talks about drug dealing and cocaine dealing and all these things that he does wrong, and he basically says, I hope that I can still get my soul right. I hope that these sins can basically be forgiven. I don't hold no grudges. I'm trying to catch blessings from now on. And so he's trying to get his life on the right track, I guess. It's a really dope message to this track, you know, and it's got a really smooth vibe to it. It's got a really cool feeling to it. It's not bad. I like it. And it's a dope outro for the project. So this project, off my first listen, is it album of the year? No. I still think Igor is the best project to come out this year so far, in terms of how beautiful it was and how creative it was, and the production on there was just so elaborate, so complex. You know, this, if I'm being honest, I was a little underwhelmed by it. I love Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. I think that they're great together. But I don't know. I think Madlib could have gone a little harder. You know, I think some of these beats were a little underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely a couple bangers off of this project, but, you know, Freddie did his thing. I have no qualms, no issues with anything that Freddie did on this project. He came with it, every single verse, you know, every single track, storytelling, metaphors, imagery, aggressive verses, you know, and on the smoother tracks, his delivery was also modified to match the production, to match the vibe of the track. He did a great job. I just feel like Madlib could have chosen better beats for some of these tracks. You know, some of these tracks are just a little underwhelming production-wise. You know, Madlib is just such a tremendous producer. I guess I had such high hopes, and I was a little let down. I'm gonna have to give it a few more listens to really decide how much I like this. You know, I'm not saying that this is a bad project at all. I'm saying that this is a great project, and I expected it to be absolutely amazing album of the year. That's what I'm saying. This is definitely top 5 so far of the year. I just expected it to be number 1. So that's saying something. It's still a fantastic project. It's still something that is not easily done. It's not easily created by just any artist. You know, Madlib is still a fantastic producer. I was just a little let down by the beats on this. I was expecting something really great. You know, I was expecting Mad Villainy tier beats, you know, something like that. I guess my expectations might have been ridiculously high. You know, I'll be honest about that. But you can't really blame me for setting my expectations high when you see Madlib and Freddie Gibbs together on a project, you know? But I'm gonna be real, some of these beats were kind of boring. It made the project feel too long. You know, I think 15 tracks was too long for this. I feel like they could have gotten their points and their messages across in 10 tracks. You know, all in all, this is an unpopular opinion and I'm aware of that. But this project just didn't reach the expectations that I had for it. And again, it's not bad, it's just underwhelming to me. I'm gonna listen to it more. I might do a follow-up video on it, but you know, those are my thoughts on this. Again, like I said, Freddie Gibbs, fantastic job. I love hearing Freddie on this. I got exactly what I was expecting from him. I did not get what I was expecting from Madlib, and that's why I'm a little bit disappointed in this project. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I hope you guys don't think that I'm bashing this project or that I'm calling it bad. It's just not album of the year. It's still top 5, maybe top 3 projects this year so far. It's still a great project, just a little underwhelming personally for my personal music taste. Look, thank you all so much for watching the video. If you're enjoying the content that I'm producing on the channel, consider supporting us on Patreon. That'd be a really fantastic way for you to show some support and help this channel to grow and for the content to be produced consistently and with a high quality. So with that being said, thank you all so much. I'll see you all soon. Peace out. Stay safe.